Hi, I'm iTalki, and welcome to Learn an Effin' Language.
跟
OK，
他说让沙发回发
So as you can guess, this channel is all about learning an effin' language, and I really think you should. It's fun and super useful and meaningful to do in this really big, interconnected world we're all a part of. In my videos, I'm going to be focused on giving you the best tips, techniques, tools, and methods for learning a language, to learn languages in a fun way, and to learn them in a really effective way, and in a way where you feel and see the progress you're making to whatever your language learning goal is, okay? And there are different levels of fluency. There's not just, I don't speak a language and I'm a master of the language. There's a lot of room in between that's really meaningful. And I want to encourage you to learn a language to whatever degree is meaningful and useful to you in your life. Now, before we get into all the other videos I'm going to be sharing with you, I want to just share a little bit about myself so you know who I am. So I started learning languages back in around 2000, and my first language was Spanish. So I got a degree in Spanish in undergrad, so it's a Bachelor's of Arts degree. I also studied music and sound engineering at the time, and for me, music really is a language as well. Not the same as obviously speaking Spanish, but it works the brain in very similar ways. So I feel like that whole time of my life was focused on using my brain in a language-like way, literally or metaphorically. And but here's the thing: after I finished my degree in Spanish, I left with about an lower intermediate ability to speak the language and maybe high intermediate on reading, and then I didn't use it for 17 years. So I lost a lot. I basically, when I started back up around a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I was starting almost from a beginner level, even though there was a lot in my mind that, you know, after some time would refresh a bit. So it wasn't like starting from scratch, but it was definitely, I had to start like a beginner when I studied. In undergrad, I did have the opportunity to study abroad in Cuernavaca, Mexico, 2 times. So they were about 3 weeks each time, but it was really great. So depending on how you look at it, short or a little long, I think it was a little short, but full immersion in a city that, at least at that time, wasn't really touristy. So I got to have an experience of really living the language, living in a culture for Spanish. And it was really fun and really useful for me. Then later, I got a master's in counseling psychology where I didn't use any languages there. But after that, I went to another grad program at Naropa University, where I studied Tibetan, classical Tibetan, for 3 years, including 1 year of co-teaching it with my professor there, Phil Stanley. And classical Tibetan, if you don't know anything about it, is similar to spoken Tibetan, but not exactly the same. It's for all of the traditional Buddhist texts from Tibet are all written in classical Tibetan. So pretty much with classical Tibetan, all you're doing is you're focused on translating text into other languages like English. And it's quite a different language compared to English, and it made me have to think very differently, including reading letters that look nothing like the English language. And I found it incredibly useful. I love the Tibetan language. I also did not do anything with Tibetan after I left after those 3 years. I didn't complete that grad program, but I did soak up all the Tibetan they had to offer. Beautiful language. I love it and hope to return to it. So after that, again, it was many years before I returned to serious language learning. I did dabble a little bit in German for like a month. Have all the resources to go back to it if I want. And I did do a little sign language here and there, which this is on my goal to do either this year or next year, is to really dive deep into American Sign Language. I did spend about a year studying Italian in a more serious way, but I totaled probably about 100 hours. So in terms of time, I didn't rack up a ton of time, but it was consistent over a year about. And I've ended up stopping that study a couple years ago to return back to Spanish because I had the strong feeling that I wanted to really fully learn and use a language completely. I don't care if I'm going to learn a bunch more languages, but it won't matter to me if I learn all the other languages to a high level of mastery. but I wanted to have at least one language that I was masterful with, to where I feel incredibly comfortable in the language and that I work in the language. Okay, and so I returned to that. Plus, also bonus is that my stepdaughter is in a bilingual education program in her elementary school. So the classes are taught mostly in Spanish. Her native language is English. And so that was another motivation for me too, is to be able to support her and in her language learning, and also it would be fun. It would support my own language learning. So that's been a really fun journey. I'll tell you what, it's quite a different thing to try to learn the new ways of doing math at elementary school compared to how it was when I was a kid, and also then trying to help her understand the math, and we're all doing it in Spanish. It's quite fun. So 2 years ago, about 20 months ago, that's when I returned back to Spanish in full force. And since then I've done over 1,000 hours, and right now I'm transitioning into actually using it for my work. I have a YouTube channel that I just started with some videos. I teach meditation online as part of what I do, and I have some videos in Spanish there. I'm translating some text. So this year I'm going to start fully working in Spanish. To do that, it requires a lot more study for that level of fluency. But once I'm really working in it, and especially after this pandemic it feels finished and we're out in the communities together, I'll be able to spend more time with friends talking in Spanish, to travel, and hopefully then I'll be engaging in the language many hours every day, just naturally as part of my life. But right now I'm quite dedicated. I have 3 teachers I really love and have worked with since this whole entire time over those 1,000 hours. The 3 teachers are over at iTalki, and I've also experimented with Baselang as well, which is a great platform for Spanish in particular. So I have many areas of language learning that I want to address and to give you tips for, and methods and techniques. But one of the things I want to do is share my experience. And one thing I did in my whole time of studying Spanish in the last 20 months is I have tracked literally everything I've done in the language. So over the 1,000+ hours I've done, I've tracked it all. I know exactly how I've spent all that time in the language. And I'm going to share with you so you can see tangible evidence, statistics on what is possible. Also, I'm going to share with you my progress, my experience of how I adjusted my language learning depending on where I was at and what my needs are, because we have to customize our language learning, okay? It's not one size fits all. And I'm going to show you how you can do that with all the various techniques that are out there. So I'm going to have a big video series covering my whole entire journey, the methods, my results, the levels of my fluency, and I'm going to continue sharing my journey with you, because I don't think the language learning journey ever ends. Even though I'm an advanced speaker and I'm continuing to try to reach more advanced levels, I don't think it'll ever end. Another cool thing I want to do this year, I don't know if it'll start this month or in a couple months, is I want to learn one language a month for 12 months. This is not about being masterful in the language, but it is about experiencing what is it like to start up a language and dive into it solidly for a month. What is possible there, and how do we do it? Because I want to show you how to do that, okay? Because I know a lot of people have dabbled in language learning. Maybe you studied in high school or college, but you forgot all of it and have made use out of it. So what is it like to start up and really take it seriously and get momentum going? So I want to show you that that it's possible, and I'm going to do that 12 times in a row. So stay tuned for those videos as well. And last, of course, because Spanish is so a big focus for me, I'm going to share specific tips for the Spanish language. But the majority of my videos will be about language learning in general that can apply to whatever language you're learning. Of course, every language is really unique, so you're going to have to find specific tips and techniques on how to learn that language, because they all present their unique creative challenges to learn them. Okay, but hopefully the tips and videos I provide you will help strengthen your journey, give you motivation, and help you see real progress. So if this video is interesting to you, I'd appreciate you hitting the like button. And if you want to see the videos I release, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.